Hi, this is Alexandra with Beadaholique, here to show you how to do Cellini spiral stitch using 2-hole beads. Here's a project that I've finished using this technique, a beautiful woven focal pendant. And in this video, I want to show you a color variation on this same design. So for this project, I'll be using a couple of pairs of pliers, flat and round, flush cutters, thread snips. I've got some twisted rope chain, a bead cap, and a Swarovski crystal pearl for the stopper, some wire and FireLine, and for my beads I have a beautiful mix of SuperDuo Autumn Fire, Tohos in size 8/0, a couple of 11/0s, and a 15/0s. So to begin, I'm going to cut 4 feet of FireLine. If you are new to Cellini Spiral, you may want to reference our video on the basic stitch, although I will say this is very similar to that. And 4 feet. This is my 4-pound test FireLine. And I'll take my size 12 beading needle, get that on there. And now I'm ready to string on my beads. So I'm going to take on 4 15/0 beads, 2 of the first color of my 11/0s, 2 of the second color of my 11/0s, 2 of my 8/0, and 2 of my SuperDuo. Then I'll work in reverse and take on 2 of each on the back end. Until I get to the 15s, I'm not going to add any more of those. I added 4 to begin with, and I'll show you how this pattern works up. So here I have my beads loaded on. And what I'm going to do is tie a double overhand knot so that the beads are in a ring. And I'm leaving myself a bit of a tail so that the knot doesn't come undone from the start. Make sure it lands in between where I want it. Just for security, I'm going to do 1 more and make a 3rd knot on top of there. Having made my knot, I am ready to begin my second round of bead weaving. So for that, I'm going to start by coming through 2 of my 15/0 beads. I'm going to add a 15/0 bead, skip 1, and double back through my 4th 15/0. That will be my first stepping up bead. Next, I'm going to add another 15/0 bead, skip the first silver, and come through the second. A little tail out of there. Then I'm going to add a silver. Whatever color I'm coming out of, that's the one I'm adding. So I'll skip my first orange and come out the second. Then I'm going to add an orange, skip the first green, and come out the second. Add on a green, and come. This is where I am stepping up into my second hole of my SuperDuo. So from this point, I'm going to add another SuperDuo by taking a bead. Either hole, doesn't matter. It's going to come in between those 2 and lay nicely once I thread through. Fits right into itself. I'm going to add 1 more SuperDuo. Skip that green, come out the second green, add another green, skip the orange, come out my second orange, add another orange, skip one silver and come out the second. And from this point, I'll be starting my third layer of weaving. Now I've got a little extra 15-0 that I'm going to come up through here. Not before I add my next silver though. I need to add my next silver. I'm going to skip 115 and come up through into my third layer of weaving. Add another 15. Go through my next 15 and add another. Into my silver. Add another silver. Into my orange. Add another orange. As I come around, the tension of the thread will start to pull the piece into a conical shape. Adding a green, here's where I'm going to step up into my second hole of my SuperDuo. Add my next SuperDuo. With a color mix like this, I'm just using my designer's eye to pick which colors I like laying next to each other and create a nice blend. Picking up another SuperDuo, skipping a green, going through a green. Picking up my green and coming through my orange. Picking up an orange and coming through my silver. Picking up a silver, coming through my 15-0 bronze, and so forth. So I'll continue this and check in with you after a few rounds to give you a sense of the pattern as it builds. So you can see that my design is starting to take shape. The spiral is forming. And I wanted to clarify that this design takes two of the large beads, the SuperDuos, whereas the traditional Cellini spiral weave takes one of the large beads. So that's the main difference in this variation on the weave. It takes two SuperDuos and also two 15-0s, which the other design does as well. So, in working my way around, I just wanted to reiterate the pattern for you now that we're past our starting point. It starts to get a little clearer the farther you get into it. So here in my 8-0, I'm going to take another 8-0 bead, come up through the second hole of my SuperDuo, add another SuperDuo, tuck it between, and add another SuperDuo, coming through my 8-0 bead. And I'll continue this all the way around. To get a focal of this size, I use 90 SuperDuos, and that's how I get the length. So once I have it finished, I'll demonstrate the tying off process and also how to sew on the bead cap and hang it from a chain using wire with this beautiful Swarovski pearl. All right, so I'm back. I have woven on 90 of my SuperDuo beads, and I've finished up with one of my green beads. I'm going to double back through an 11-0 and tie the thread off in a nice secure spot on my weaving between two of those beads. Bring that around one more time. And I'm ready to clip my thread. Now I'm ready to sew on the cap to my piece. This is a 12mm filigree bead cap. Brings out a lot of the shine of the piece. And I already have enough thread here that I'm working with. My needle's already threaded on, so I'm just going to keep this same thread and come through the top of my first layer of weaving and tie it back up onto this side of my piece. Oops, and do a double overhand knot. Okay, clip my extra and sew on my cap. I'm going to come through one of the scallops of the edge, line it up with my weaving, and find the best spot to begin sewing the FireLine. It's not an exact science, it's just a matter of finding where it lines up best to balance that cap off the top. So I'm going to start my way through a bead that looks accessible, and I'm going to come through the next scallop. And continue around the edge. Come through this green one here. And up through the next scallop. And pivot. Looks like the second hole of this SuperDuo might be a good spot. Come through there, up through my next scallop, and so forth. See if I come through those two. I think it lines me up with this one here. Try not to poke myself. And pretty much all the way around now. Couple more to go. Coming up through the scallop. The trick is to find a bead cap that fits the right size for the beads, so I was happy to find this one. All right, and I think I am back to my first scallop. I could go around again, but I don't feel like I need to, so I'm going to tie it off now just by coming back through a bead and finding a good closing point. I'm going to get in between those beads under that thread, create a knot there, and string through a couple more beads. Try to hide the thread as best I can. And create one more knot up in here. And double that up. And then I'll thread back through a couple beads to hide the end before I clip the extra. And that part will be done. So now I've got my bead cap on there, and I'm ready to add my pearl. So for that, I'm going to cut myself about 4 inches of this 22 gauge wire. I'm going to create an eye pin that will be going through the body of the focal. So to do that, just take my round pliers, bend at an angle, wrap over top, and clip the extra. And I'll secure that, make sure it's nice and flush. So there's my eye pin. And I'm going to hang my pearl off using my head pin here. Create another simple wire loop off the top of this one, like so. Clip the extra. I'm going to hook my pearl onto my eye pin and close that up tight. So there's my bottom portion. It's ready to thread up through the center of my focal, right into the middle hole of my cap. So I just need to line that up. Looks like there may be a bead in the way, so it's just the challenge of threading the wire through that center hole. All right, so I got that threaded through the center hole of my cap. I'm going to pull the Swarovski pearl flush against the bottom, and that's a nice stopper for my piece. And I'm ready to wire wrap the top. I'm going to grip, angle, and create a loop that's large enough for my chain to come through it. And I'm ready to coil around the base. Once, twice. I always like to make a more substantial connection by wrapping up and over my previous wraps. I'm going to grab my other plier to get a nice tight wrap here. There. Okay. Clip. And bring in my twisted rope chain. So I've got a mix of metals here, which I kind of like the way that they play with the antique and the sparkle of the colored beads. This is a 32-inch chain, which will hang it nicely down along the torso. And now I'm ready to add my clasp. So I've got a 6mm jump ring. I'm going to add to one side. Just loop it through those 2 end links. And create a nice flush closure. And on this side, here's a bit of a trick I like to do. Sometimes if I don't have the right size jump ring, if I know that my chain has a seam, I'll use it like a jump ring. Latch that on. And close it up. And I have finished my Cornucopia swirl necklace. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a very rewarding variation on these beautiful designs. And these project bundles, materials, and supplies are all available at Beadaholique.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching.